Now, as da'is and da'iyya, we do not begin our sentences by "I think." We are not people of the aql. We're not people of the mind. We are people of the kitab. We are people of the book. Again, I congratulate Imam Yahya because he gave you those proofs. So when you talk to people about Islam, you talk to them just as he said, first about Tawheed. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught Tawheed for 13 years. The first 3 years of Islam, Muslims were not even allowed to pray in Mecca. They had to go outside of Mecca to pray. So Islam for the first 3 years was taught in secret. I believe that suffices to say that our example is the greatest teacher. The farmer or caller in this case must possess patience, wisdom, knowledge, practice, insight, basira, vision. He must possess iman. He must possess, or she must possess, faith, conviction, kindness, considerateness, commitment, good personal relations, generosity, flexibility, humility, and taqwa. You must fear Allah. You must know, what did Allah say? I created men and jinns for naught except that they worship me. Alhamdulillah, you get 10 bonus points, brother. That you worship me. Or whoever said it, they get 10 bonus points. That is what we were created for. So we really should live our living, if our living and dying is for Islam, if we are true to what we recite in the Quran, then we live for every moment to make dawah to someone. As we serve Allah, others watch and they want what we have. These characteristics make one persuasive. It's not very persuasive when you hear that MSA had a fight at their meeting, but they are Muslims, and Islam means peace, and to change the verb to a noun, you put mu in front of it, and they're the doers of peace. But I don't know what, man, they had a knockdown drag out in that meeting. It's a total contradiction. We have to purify ourselves. You cannot be a da'i unless you are in a process of purification, a process of growth. I promise you, if you're not, you can forget it. If you're one of those Muslims that say, well, that's just the way I am and that's just the way I'm always going to be, well, that means you're an arrogant Muslim. Because arrogance means you're refusing to learn. You're refusing to do what Allah has said to do. You're rejecting the haqq. You're rejecting the truth. So dawah is self-improvement. First and foremost, Isa alayhi salam said an interesting thing. He said, love thy neighbor as thyself. And I want to share with you that you will never be able to love anyone else until you can love yourself. And the only way you will ever love yourself is to be in integrity with Allah. When you know in your heart of hearts that you are doing everything you're supposed to be doing for the sake of Allah, you'll feel good about yourself. You will actually feel good about yourself because you won't be carrying any guilt. Well, you know, I gossiped about that sister last night and I talked about that brother the day before. So it has to be that you clean yourself first. Allah is pure and He only accepts that which is pure. It forces you to practice what you preach. It makes you more on guard than others. It forces self-evaluation. Even Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to evaluate himself every night before he went to bed. And this was the Prophet of Allah. It requires self-training and discipline, practice, rehearsal, drill, and exercise. It requires pondering and contemplation, processing. How am I going to make dawah to this person? If you look at the letters that Rasulullah ﷺ wrote to politicians of the day, do we actually have in our foresight how we're going to make dawah? What are the techniques we're going to use? As my beloved brother said, we get rewards for fulfilling this duty. It is fard kifaya for people to make dawah. And it is actually a singular command on every single Muslim. Guidance in the end is from Allah. He gives that gift to whomever He wants. So never worry about somebody rejecting you. Because you might speak to someone today and invite them to the understanding of the oneness of God. And they say, you know, that really makes sense. And for 2 or 3 years, they will wish they could see you. That person will wish they could see you again. And then by Allah's mercy and grace, they will happen to bump into you. We don't believe in coincidence. We know that it was in the qadr of Allah. And they will say, you know, you said something to me. Or you did something for me. And I've never forgotten it. Those are the actions that speak the loudest. Dawah is all inclusive. Dawah is directed to non-Muslims and Muslims. We enjoin what is right and forbid what is evil. The 3 highest values in the Quran, what's the first one? Tawheed. What's the second one? Tazkiyah, purifying the self. What's the third one? Imran, to build a society with faith. If you don't have faith, you can't help build a society with faith. You can't build what you don't have. Everybody is the target group. All races, all nationalities, all social classes. When we teach this, when we deliver this message of Islam, this message of security, we actually are the key for a person to return to that fitrah which was breathed into their mother's womb. That divine spirit, ruh, that was breathed into the mother's womb. So by us making dawah, we actually are a part of bringing somebody back to the harmony and to that fitrah, that natural nature that God, Allah, breathed into you. Where do we invite? Where do we invite people to Islam? We invite the general public. We look for women's and men's groups. And I often send my beloved wife of 23 years. I used to go to the Colonial High School and I would lecture for 3 days, all day. And now my wife goes. And the kids love her more than they do me for some reason. She's much more pleasant to look at. I think that might have something to do with it too. But she loves the children, she loves the kids, and they love her. When I send her to a predominantly female group, or when we have an invitation, I send my beloved wife. So that they can see that Muslims are not oppressed. That Muslims are not oppressed. Okay? All right. Also, youth. We invite youth. We invite groups of every kind. One of the other opportunities is this great medical school is being built here. Look for an opportunity to go to the hospitals and do diversity training. Diversity training is a great way to do dawah.